internet. And we are going to the last talk of the day. That it will be François. I think I already said about that, but François is the person who made everything this possible. This FableConf was so please.
Thank you very much.
So FableConf was like a kind of a joke on Twitter. So we were saying, okay, let's do a FableConf. Let's do it. And François said, okay, let's do it in Bordeaux. Let's do it in Bordeaux. And we were, okay, yeah, this is fun. And then the next day, he wrote to me and he said, okay, I already have the list of the places and the cutters. And I was like, okay. This cannot be stopped now. So I didn't stop him. And then here we are. So, yeah. Again, a big applause for him. And
yeah, but I was not alone because I had a lot of help from Maxime, who is there, and also Jocelyn, who is taking the videos. Yeah, and many people who aren't here today from Bordeaux Games and many local associations. So I would like to thank them since there's a video. So this little speech will be about some personal story in the userland, because I'm mostly a user of Fable technology. I started using it 10 months ago, and so it's my little short story about my dev story, and it may be boring. I'm sorry. Okay. I want to warn you. It's a very special presentation. Okay. With shiny, beautiful colors, okay? And so this is a highly immutable, enthusiastic, I hope, Elmish powered, which is very important, Fable presentation. That's it for the title. So, hello. Okay, so I'm a dad. I've got 3 kids at home, and sometimes I feel difficult to find time to spend time actually with my kids. Okay, and so I'm going to speak a little bit about this experience and why Fable allowed me to spend more time with my kids. So a few years ago, I had my kids who constantly asked if I wanted to play with them, and but I didn't have enough time. So all the time I kept telling them, "Oh, I need to work. I need to work." So ask your mom. Maybe she has more time than me. And they went, okay, but I couldn't spend more time with them. And I was actually working a lot, like I think everybody is doing here. And so I was always thinking about work. I went to sleep with work in my mind, and I had to change this. So this is my little story. Like everybody here, I think I want many things. I want a good job. I want to work with great people on interesting projects. I want to keep learning because there are so many things we can learn when we are developers. And teach as well, because I think it's very important when we learn some things, then to be able to teach and to share the knowledge and earn enough money. But also I want to enjoy time with my family. I want to hang out with my friends. So I just want to be able to enjoy my life, like everybody here, I think. So that's very personal goals, but maybe that's the kind of goals we are all sharing here. So that's always been a tough question for me. So how could I do everything? How could I reach my goals? So, and how Fable did help me. So once upon a time, because all the stories start with once upon a time. In 2000, before I got kids, I was pretty young, and I started as a developer, and so I was really into the work. I had to learn a lot. I had to make many projects to had to learn about many tech stack, and I had a dream when I was a little kid is to develop video games. So I had to work a lot to make that possible. And so I started developing the video games, and I made some money. I met with great people and created great games. And I got kids. And then the equation, it was a little bit more complicated. So in this period of 2007 and 2010, we were working very hard on the big multiplayer games with many people playing, and it worked very, very well, and we made a lot of money. But I was really not living my family life. I was really into the work, and like every passion, when we fall for the passion, it's easy to just forget about everything around. So my kids, I didn't have much time for them, and well, I grew kind of. I was a little bit sad, very sad, in fact. So in 2010, I got my third kid, and then I had to choose. I couldn't work as I did. I couldn't continue to work every day of the week. So I said bye-bye to my great job, and I took 1 year off to think about it and to take time to do things I hadn't done for years. So I took time with my family, my kids, my friends, and yes, it was a good year, very interesting. But well, I didn't work, so I didn't earn any money. So soon, in 2011, I decided to start again in the video game business, and so to create my own business. And so I was very optimistic, and this was a period. I don't know if many of you are playing video games here. Yeah, and so there was this indie video games hype, you know, where everybody can make his game, and we can make games which are not always talking about war and about violence and such things. So it was very interesting to make not some kind of arty games, or maybe games where we have to think a little bit more. So I was really hooked into it, and I worked with many game developers, and I had and it was possible for me to do this and to take more time with my family. So I was very happy. But I was still working hard, worked on great projects with awesome people. But what was complicated is that it didn't work. So running my own business was not easy for me, and so I ran out of money. So I had to do something. It was kind of a failure. So so this is the last chapter of my little story. So the chapter is about work and family. And in 2014, I started consulting and freelancing, and I started teaching, and I was able to work with great people again. And since that time, I could earn enough money to continue. And even if I work hard, I have time for my family, my friends. And that's very important here in France. I had time for enjoying great wine in front of the beach with beautiful sunshines, you know, with stars in my eyes, because, you know, it's called French style. We do it every day. Yeah. So how is that possible? Well, I did change many things. So I'm still fond of learning and solving problems, like I'm sure you are. And I'm still fond of being a developer 15 years after. And so I started to think and and thus work better. So I avoid vapor projects because when I was in the video game business, we worked on many projects where we had shallow requirements, and it took time, and then it ended nowhere. So it's difficult when we are consulting and freelancing to have shallow requirements because it takes a lot of time, and for the client, it's not a good thing. So I make web apps, desktop apps, mobile apps, IoT, cloud. I develop way faster and way safer. And I try to release stable things and release bug-free apps if possible. Almost. So today, my products are 70% JS based. And I do. This is a thing that changed in my way of programming. I do much less OOP and much more functional. I started functional with Axe. I don't know if many of you know the Axe language. Yeah, Axe language is an OOP language, but there are many things which are kind of functional. Because the Axe language was made by somebody involved in the OKML language community, and so the Axe compiler is actually made in OKML, and he liked many things he used in OKML, like pattern matching, which is very interesting in Axe, for instance. And then I moved to Scala, which was a kind of interesting experience. A little bit weird, I must admit, because I did a very interesting thing, but OP was always mixed with functional, and I had this problem several times when I couldn't understand the code as I was reading. I mean, in Scala, my problem is that I found it very hard to read another people's code, because there are hundreds of ways of writing the same thing in Scala. So that's very difficult. But it was interesting for the functional, because it was my first step in functional. And then I felt in love, yeah, with F# and Fable. Oh, it was why? Because there's this great JS interop, which is very important for me. And it's a great gateway to .NET. It's an ecosystem I don't know. I've never done any C#, but through F# I was able to use C# libraries without too much problems. So I was kind of happy. And I've got some things to add. Yes, many things, in fact. So I will be speaking about the great Fable stack. So there's F#, .NET, Node.js, Packets, NPM, Yarn, Babel, we saw, Webpack, and maybe a rollup, since Sven has been speaking about it, and Ionide. So regarding F#, so it was easy for me to run functional with. I mean, in Scala, I did some functional stuff, but in F# I could do many things in a functional way and more easily than in Scala. It's indentation based, which I like because I find it very easy to read. That's very personal, you know. It's actually easy to understand. It was very interesting this morning when Alfonso spoke about the language and the fact that in F# we could express a lot of native language through F#. And it's easy to understand and read later because I've been working with F# about 10 months, and I can actually understand what I have developed 10 months ago. I mean, it can be saying this is kind of fun, but F# really allows to understand the code. Actually, you can read like a book, and that's a great power. And it's easy to refactor, I think. And yes, we can express a lot of things, and we can convey a lot of information in just a few lines of codes, which I think it's very interesting. And last but not least, there are no semicolons. That's very important. So with F#, I can do a cross-platform application using .NET on the JS ecosystem. And now I'm going to speak about the Fabulous tools. It was even if Fable is very young, I was very happy to be able to actually start easily, you know. Thanks to the Fable templates, it allowed me to jump straight into the code, and it was a very good thing for me. And then there's a scaffolding, Fable have scaffolding, which allow me to make client-server applications easily. And of course, Ionide plus VS Code, which I use daily, which allows me to refactor easily, to explore projects, to have syntax highlighting, error highlighting, find usage. Many things are very great in Ionide. And maybe we'll have some time the Christoph official emoji. I hope so. I make a PR if you want. Okay. Oh, okay. Thanks. That's fine. And we've got Elmish, which I daily use. And we've got Fulma also, which is a big part of my web applications today. And we've got TS to Fable, which is very important for me because I need to make many interoperability with JS. So it make about 90% of the job, and sometimes we have to make slight modifications to make it work. But it's a very interesting tool. And so much more, yes. Regarding the documentation, for instance, we've got the Fable website samples, awesome Fable website. I don't know if you know this site, awesome Fable, which is very interesting website, which gives links about all the Fable-related projects. And we got GitHub, and we got a very clean source code because Alfonso only code make clean code. No, yeah. Well, okay, on his open source projects. And a very clean unit test. This one is important for me because I learned a lot just reading the unit test in Fable, which are very important to go straight into the projects. I will be speaking about the community. We hosted a meetup yesterday evening, and we talked about community and the fact that Fable is a great project because there are many people who are involved in the project, and it's actually in a very positive mood. I don't know how to say, but there are many projects where people contribute, yeah, and it's working. But in Fable, you get this little positive attitude, which is very important, I think. There's always people to help and reply kindly to requests and to discuss many topics very kindly. So I think it's a really pro aspect of Fable, and it's open source. And yes, we are all on Slack, on Twitter, on GitHub, and of course we can find many people on GitHub, especially Maxime, which doesn't sleep at night. So many great people and many funny people in the community, and funny people with long hair. So 10 months of Fable later, I made 3 small games using Fable and Pixie.js. A multiplayer local game for an event for kids using Fable and another library, which is very, very interesting, Paper.js. 2 SPA using Elmish and Fuma. And today I've got 2 projects using Fable and Suave, and many other things. So in the end, I can develop faster, yes. Yes, today I can say I can develop faster. It's easy to read the code. It's easy to actually produce the code. So yes, it works. And I develop safer because it's immutable and there's all these type things which are very, very important. And it's important for me as a freelancer because I have to release things that work, actually. So, I mean, if I lose time 2 months ago, 2 months after releasing because I've got some nasty bug, I'm going to lose money. So, and there are really less bugs. And like Eugene said this morning, when it compiles, it works. So Fable is young, it's a promising technology, it's a real challenger, I think, in the JS transpiler competition, and there are many opponents. And it's backed by some awesome tech stack. So today it's like this, my kids ask for playing, and oh, you already finished your work? Yeah? Yes, of course. Yeah, easy. So it's ready. Fable is clean and it just works. Well, okay. Now I will show you, if you have time. Do we have time remaining? Yeah, yeah. Some live samples. Okay. I'm going to take my smartphone. Okay. So here is a good occasion to actually vote for Fable. So here, you know, if you agree with this sentence, F# and Fable rules the web world, you can just send some SMS, this code, gem0, at this number, and and you will see some magic happening. Okay, we got 1 vote. Nobody want to vote? to increase the counter? Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, that. Oh yeah. So this is this. So you see, when you vote, there's a Slack notification. So this is a project I'm working on for a big retailer. In fact, to have this screen where people can interact with their smartphone. So it was it's an easy project, but interesting nonetheless. Okay, thank you for all your votes. So we got a score of 11 votes. Okay. Yeah, you can continue, no problem. And also there's this project I worked on. I've been working on for. No, I worked on it was in May, I think, maybe, or March, June. Ah, okay. So it's a project about environmental issues in IT, and this project has been made with Fulma and Elmish. So it's just a single-page application, but I hadn't much time to do it. So it was a crazy fast project. With some really interesting things like this menu with sound, etc. And here I understood why Elmish was so powerful, because in Elmish it's really easy to model all the interactions in the page. Every time you click on somewhere, you know in Elmish what it does, and that's very interesting. So this project, and that's it. Okay, and I got just a few small things. Okay. Tac. Okay. I'm going to. No. I don't want to do this. No, that's it. Okay, I'm finished. I'm done. Thank you very much.
So thanks a lot, François. I think we are very close to the end. It's been a long day full of surprises, announcements, and really good talks. So we have the best for the end. It's Don Simon is going to say some words for us. So please. We are really happy that he's here and he's managed to come here and so his busy agenda. So please, everybody, give him a big applause.
I'm Don. I'm the guy who started F# back in. I discovered it's 2002. I discovered it. People always quote 2005, but someone sent it around. And I'd kind of thought 2003, but someone sent around an announcement sent to the Haskell mailing list for the very first version in 2002. I actually think I started the code in 2001, December 2001, writing parse.fsy, which still exists in the repository somewhere. Anyway, I have had 1 hour's sleep last night, and I got up at 4 in the morning UK time, and so I'm a bit spaced out. I don't know how I'm still standing. I've got some notes here. So I am it's so refreshing for me to come to FableConf, because I'm a beginner in this community. It's truly a new world that I can learn and enter through the portal of F# as a language, but it's like, it's just like one of those moments when you discover there's a whole world you can kind of enter into, and all sorts of things I'm looking forward to learning. I love using the Elmish model. It's just one of those moments when so many things clarified for me about the use of functional programming in the user interface, and particularly ML, OCaml, ML, F# style programming, which and that's been amazing. So yeah, I'm excited to be here just to learn. I have to say, the plan came together. A plan I didn't know we had, which was back in about 2013, 2014. Thomas Petrocek and I started working on what became the F# compiler service, and you know, we wanted to enable F#. We wanted to enable things with F# that were things we hadn't yet imagined. Well, I suppose we thought we were enabling editors, but I certainly didn't realize we'd be enabling an editor like Ironide with its incredible cross-platform capabilities and its and I had no idea that we were enabling that with half it implemented in JavaScript by the Fable compiler. And so we started work on the F# compiler service, and we enabled some editing tools. The Visual F# power tools came out of that, much of which is coming back into Visual Studio. The Ironide tools came out of this, which is incredible. I think the FunScript, I'm not sure whether that used that. No, it sort of didn't. And then FunScript was kind of grinding to a halt as a project. And Alfonso grabbed me at the end of a meetup in London, and he said, and I think we talked, and I said maybe you could use the F# compiler services. We just put in the feature where you can get access to the full typed abstract syntax tree out of that. I didn't know what it would get used for. Being a formal kind of guy, formal verification background, I thought people were going to use that to like formally verify F# programs, grab the typed abstract syntax tree, do some logic processing through a SAT solver or something, and find bugs, because that's the only thing you could possibly want to do in computing, you know, coming from a formal background. And instead, you could, you know, Alfonso goes and does this wonderful JavaScript compiler with you know, everything we've heard about today, and all sorts of interesting things being enabled. And it's also an experience of using functional programming, which for user interface work, which, I mean, the Elm people deserve a lot of the credit, but which I didn't know we were existed, and which I will now get to use, and that's incredible. Last week, there's this conference called the History of Programming Languages, and it's run every 10 years or so. It's not a conference, it's actually a journal, actually. And I got an invitation to submit something for that for F#, because if we don't do it this time around, it'll be 2030. When we get to submit something. And I just want to say Fable will definitely be part of that story towards the end of opening up a whole new story as well. So we'll get that written, and it's great to be part of that. I think that's all I want to say. I just absolutely love what's happening with Fable and its community. And yeah, let's do it. I can't wait till FableConf 2018. Yeah, okay, thanks very much.